And if I haven't said it before, education is the most important issue. Education is the most important issue. I don't know that we cover it as much as we should, but if you can get our education system under control, back to the basics, making sure that you are putting out functioning, healthy adults once they graduate, so many of the other societal issues that we face will just take care of themselves. But that's not what's happening right now, at least not in Washington state. And there are consequences for that. Parents have realized that maybe public schools in this state aren't the place that they want to send their kids. Maybe that's not where their kids are going to get the best education, the best life skills, and maybe, just maybe, I don't know, this is a guess, parents don't want their kids indoctrinated with these insane social and political agendas. And we have had more than ample evidence to show that that's happening in a lot of our schools. Is it happening in every school? No. Is it happening with every teacher? Of course not. But it's not our job as journalists to focus on the things that are working real great. It's our job to focus on the things that are broken and to hold the government accountable for those things, and that's what we're going to do. So something really big happened last night. We've been talking, and we talked on the show on Monday about how a lot of school districts are facing budget cuts. The primary reason they're facing budget cuts is their enrollment is down. Fewer students, less money, budget cuts, right? So the Seattle Public School District, the largest public school district in the state, is no exception to that. Here's a story from the Seattle Times. Seattle School okays proposal that could close 20 elementary schools. The district is hoping to dig itself out of a deficit caused by years of spending more money than it took in. Wow. Oh my gosh, that was in the Times? Thank you for so accurately laying out what creates a deficit. I mean, that is really the bare bones of what it is. I love that line so much. I'm going to read it again. The district is hoping to dig itself out of a deficit caused by years of spending more money than it took in. That's the story in a nutshell. Federal COVID relief dollars have dried up. The district has lost more than 4,000 students since pre-pandemic years. And a 3-year teachers union contract inked in 2022 was projected to cost the district about $231 million over its term and add $94 million to the deficit. You don't say. So those the unions that fought for higher teacher pay and said that they were doing it for the kids, you mean that actually is going to hurt the kids? Wow, shocker. I wish somebody had warned them of that possible consequence. Goes on to say, Seattle is among many districts contemplating closing schools as education systems across the country confront the end of COVID relief aid and declining enrollment, which is the largest determining factor in the amount of taxpayer funds school districts receive from their state governments. Enrollment had been declining in some cities before the pandemic, but the federal funds gave districts room to delay difficult budget decisions. I think that's a very important thing, because even the Times is saying you can't blame all this on COVID. There was declining enrollment before then. In fact, COVID just helped you put off the cuts. Although the school closures aren't expected to take effect until the fall of 2025, the district is also wrestling with how to shed $105 million from next school year's estimated $1.1 billion budget. So at last night's meeting, one of the school board members talked about this debacle, this situation that they're in, and how it's going to make it hard, but they need to do what they can to convince the state of Washington, despite the declining enrollment, to make sure that they're well funded.
We all go together and say, look, here is what we have done. And what we need now is this funding for these reasons to support our students, and we cannot do that part unless you step up and help us. Right now, we don't have a whole lot to stand on when we have 29 schools with under 300 kids.
29 schools with under 300 kids. That's Seattle School Board member Liza Rankin. And she's basically saying, like, look, we need this money for our kids. Oh, we need to get more money from the state to make sure that we're serving our kids, when she knows full well that the underlying reason why they'd be getting less money from the state is because their enrollment has dropped. Now, here is a clip of that same Seattle School Board member, Liza Rankin, less than a year ago in September 2023, when there were some parents pushing back against the curriculum in Seattle Public Schools.
If it is so contrary to your values, what is being presented in public schools in alignment with the will of the voting public, you don't have to participate. You can withdraw altogether. Public school is a right that is afforded to everyone who lives in our communities, but no one is forcing you to participate.
No one is forcing you to participate. That's gold. That's gold. Thank you, Don Land, for making sure we saw that today. That same Seattle Public School Board member who last night, we've got to be able to serve our kids. We need to make sure we make the case to the state of Washington why we need more funds, despite the fact our enrollment has dropped by 4,000 students. When in September of last year, she looked parents in the eye and told them, you don't have to be here if you don't want to be here. If you don't share our values and the values of our community, and she says it, by the way, with two gay pride, a transgender pride flag sitting right in front of her. If you don't share our values, then you don't have to be here. Public school is optional. Take your kids somewhere else.
You don't have to participate. You can withdraw altogether.
Well, they did. And now you're going to have to close about 20 elementary schools.